The role of procurement as it was once known has endured a dramatic shift over the past decades to fulfill a more prominent role in today's business environment. External change, re-evaluation and refocusing, and value creation are key components which have led to the evolvement of the procurement role. The business environment over the past few decades has been subject to intense global change, which consequently has led to the re-evaluation of everyday business practices to provide a firm with a competitive advantage and distinct offering in this increasingly competitive marketplace. Globalization, technology developments, shortened product lifestyles, and process technology advances are just a few examples of a few changes altering the ways in which companies compete, thus demonstrating ability to be strategically oriented, remaining focused on long-term objectives while being flexible enough to react quickly to these rapidly changing environmental forces has become a key to corporate success and is the underlying reason for the newly found strategic orientation of procurement today. Procurement has traditionally been identified as an administrative, transactional, and passive role, provided to firms with the sole intent of carrying out a buying function. This separate organisational role was developed now over 120 years ago and was dedicated to successfully procuring the goods and services necessary for the successful operation of an enterprise. Paperwork systems and forms were developed to increase efficiency of the company and ensure ethical and legal transactions. What was thought, however, to be an effective method of department organisation, well, for lack of a better term, was a world of paper, and comparatively to the procurement departments today, can be seen as inefficient. The flood of new technology has reduced the need for administrative paperwork throughout today's purchasing operations. In line with the industrial boom, firms shifted into high gear to supply the world with an unprecedented array of industrial and consumer goods, and so the transactional function was born. Purchasing departments grew so large that many purchasers preferred to be called purchasing managers in order to reflect the expanded role of the function. Purchasing became a staff function which provided a variety of services to the organisation's requisitioners. These functions included source location, budget control, order placing, sales relationship management, and expediting. These functions corresponded to the paradigm of how business was done 40 years ago. However, as the marketplace grew in complexity and competitiveness, firms realised these methods were not sufficient. AMA in 1989 was one of the first to note the view that top management had prior to the 1973-74 oil crisis, and that was that procurement is a passive role. However, upon Porter 1980 emphasising the importance of the buyer in his model of the five forces that impact the competitive nature of an industry, recognition of procurement as a purchasing strategy began to emerge. During this period of the 1980s, cost reduction pressures demanded that purchasers form relationships that simultaneously improved delivery, quality, and payment terms, all for lower and lower prices. For many firms, extreme competition from the entire world has caused management to focus on the dollars spent and the services provided by the purchasing department more than ever before, forcing all major purchasing decisions to become strategic. In fact, the function of procurement has transformed itself to a whole new level, which many are now calling supply chain management, in order to reflect the broader scope and increase responsibility for purchasers to help meet the strategic goals of the firm. There is an analogy used that no company is an island, and to achieve change, we need to pay close attention to planned developments with key sources, procurement being one of these driving forces. While in previous decades a company could create, sell, and manage all production internally, to survive in today's market, collaboration between customers and suppliers at all levels of the organisation, in addition to strong partnerships with other firms, are a necessity to maintaining viability. Consequently, relationship management has been recognised as a key responsibility of procurers. The figure demonstrated on the screen identifies the ramifications of adopting a strategic procurement approach for a firm's supply management practices. Strategic purchasing requires a proactive long-term approach to supplier relationship management and a considerable amount of cooperation between buyer and supplier. Finally, firms need to be responsive to market trends and changes and consequently be able to select and manage their suppliers accordingly. The role of procurement today has seen movement from its traditional purpose of procuring the goods and services necessary for the successful operation of an enterprise to a role with greater scope and extensive strategizing. Quality programs and just-in-time systems has enlarged the scope of purchasing with added responsibility for supply management, managing inventories, and evaluating, selecting, and managing suppliers. It is evident that overall external pressures within the changing business environment are significant drivers of the evolution of purchasing, from its once administrative and transactional role to the dominant perspective now that procurement is a strategic weapon centered on its ability to create collaborative relationships for firms' advantage and source strategically.